June 6, 1942, the first decisive Allied naval victory in the Pacific occurred near Midway Island. This would prove to be the turning point in the war against Japan. After fighting to a draw in the Battle of the Coral Sea 1 month earlier, the United States surprised the invading Japanese fleet just north of tiny Midway Island, barely 1,300 miles west of Hawaii. The primary battle was conducted by aircraft launched from U.S. and Japanese carriers. Unlike naval engagements of previous wars, the opposing fleets never came within sight of each other.
Out of some 54 Japanese employed, 4 out of the enemy's 5 aircraft carriers were sunk with all their aircraft, and 2 heavy cruisers and 3 destroyers went down. In all, nearly a third of the force wiped out by the men who remembered Pearl Harbor.
The fact that the 4 Japanese carriers sunk by U.S. dive bombers were the ships that launched the Pearl Harbor attack made the victory at Midway even sweeter. The Japanese fleet would now be on the defensive for the rest of the war. Midway's triumph now made it possible for American forces to go on the offensive. 2 months later, they struck.
American troop transports and other craft approached Guadalcanal in the Solomons for the initial landing on the strategic Pacific island.
America captured Guadalcanal and its important airfield, but the Japanese would try for the next 9 months to regain the island. They understood the strategic importance of the Solomons to the Americans.
Tulagi and Guadalcanal form the bullseye, stepping stones from which to re-win the South Pacific and start the push to Tokyo.
The tide had finally turned against the Japanese in the Pacific. Under the direction of General Douglas MacArthur and Admiral Chester Nimitz, the Allied forces began their island-hopping campaign. MacArthur's brilliant strategy was to attack only the smaller, less defended islands, severing enemy supply lines, allowing the better defended Japanese islands to wither on the vine.
A mighty carrier, part of the great United States naval fleet protecting the landings of MacArthur's men in the Philippines, prepares to lose its power on the attacking Japs.
The summit of the campaign came at the Battle of Leyte Gulf. Japanese Admiral Toyota planned to stop MacArthur's bid to recapture the Philippines, but his plan was doomed. The Japanese Navy ran into the entire American fleet, 166 ships and 1,200 fighter planes in the largest naval engagement in history.
The USS Princeton is bombed, but the attacker goes into a death spiral. While Navy planes strike from the air, Admiral Halsey's 3rd Fleet and Admiral Kincaid's 7th took care of the 3-pronged enemy naval attack.
The battle virtually destroyed the Japanese Navy, knocking out over 1/3 of its ships and over 7,000 aircraft. Spearheading the invasion force, Douglas MacArthur waded ashore in the Philippines, from where he was forced to flee 2 years before. He fulfilled his famous promise, "I shall return." The battles of the Pacific became known simply by the islands that were won: Guam, Okinawa, and Iwo Jima.
This is Ed Morrow speaking. The greatest United States force ever assembled in the Pacific closes on Iwo Jima. 800 ships and thousands of small landing craft head for the island. Carriers, lying back of the main fleet, sent in hundreds of bombers. The death-dealing planes of the task force return, some of them carrying the scars of battle. Others are even less fortunate. This was the toughest single action of the Pacific War. It cost nearly 20,000 American casualties, over 4,000 of them dead. And the American flag now flies on the summit of Suribachi.
The victory at Iwo Jima left Allied forces only 750 miles from Tokyo. The hard fight across the Pacific was finally paying off, and it had all begun with the first American victory on June 6, 1942 at Midway Island.